Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to review this Ferrari F8 Spider.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan and we are actually in California at my buddy Fred's house, and this is his Ferrari F8 Spider and it is absolutely stunning. And today we're going to review it, show you how amazing these cars are. Well, let's talk about how good is it, and is it good enough to continue the Ferrari brand? Well, you shall see. But real quick before we get into it, if you'd like to support the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, go visit normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy parts and services for your car, including parts for Ferrari F8s. Go hook yourself up with 10% off using the code NGS10. We do appreciate when you guys support us, so thank you very much. Well, I have to say, to me, the Ferrari F8 is what the 488 should have been. I don't know why Ferrari kind of, in my opinion, phoned it in on the 488, because yeah, it was turbocharged, but the body was pretty much the same as the 458 with, you know, obviously the side scoops were a big difference, but otherwise the rest of the body looked pretty identical. Well, to me, the F8, they added enough styling cues to really change it up and give it enough character to be a unique, amazing, and beautiful car. So let's go over some of these styling cues, some of these differences. We'll talk about it, and of course then we're gonna get out on the road and I'll show you how crazy fast this thing is. It is just epic. So this is the triple yellow, is the Gallo Triplo Strato, which is a 3-color metallic yellow, and it is absolutely stunning in the sunlight. It is super beautiful with a nice pearl color. It's like a pearl metallic, and you really have to see it in the sunlight to appreciate it. It looks amazing. And while I have the hood of the trunk open, I'm going to show you one of the downsides of the F8 is, well, unfortunately the trunk did get a little bit smaller because they're accommodating this big vent hole. So this is like an aero scoop. You can see it actually goes through from down here and comes up right through the lid of the trunk. So it's a pretty unique, interesting design, but that does cut into the trunk space a little bit. You know, normally they come out a little bit further in the 458 and the 488. I also like that in the more recent models, they actually show you all the options, so you can see everything that we've got on this car is pretty cool. They have the little plaque. One unique little difference we noticed is that the Ferrari emblem is no longer on the hood itself. It is actually on the bumper, and obviously this is because of that vent, which again is pretty cool to see that vent. I really like it. And that's one thing, is there is a substantial improvement over aero in this car from the 488. I believe they said it has something like 17% more downforce. There are vent holes all over the place, you know, and they're all functional. Right here is a scoop. And then of course there's actually little vents down here, which actually look kind of cool. Of course, have these vents for the air intakes for the engine, and some more vents back here. And this actually does carry on something from the Pista, which is this right here, this aero piece. You can see goes right through. The only difference is, of course, the Pista has the cavallino kind of sticking up in the middle, which really looks cool. This also does have active aero, so when you reach certain speeds, the diffuser opens up and vents out air underneath the bottom. You can kind of see the 488 had that, and this continues that, so that piece right there will actually open up. And I guess that helps to reduce some drag once you get to a higher speed. One of the things I think they finally hit really well is the rear of this car. One of the things I don't like about the design of the 458 and the 488 is the single taillights. To me, Ferrari's always had 2 taillights. Well, we finally have 2 taillights, and it looks great. The rear of this car looks fantastic. I think it's actually one of the best rear ends that Ferrari's done since the F430. This is just absolutely stunning with the ventilation and the big diffuser and the way that the aero is set up. That is a big ass.
That's a huge bitch.
So we've read that it's actually wider than the 488 and the 458. So I'm not shocked by that, just a little bit wider in the rear. It actually has bigger tires from the factory as well. These are 305s, of course, much larger brakes. So we still have the carbon ceramics 6-piston brakes, and they are massive. Those are absolutely massive brakes. Look at the size of those carbon ceramic rotors. They're huge. I think they really got the headlights down great. Beautiful headlights, amazing design. So really what it comes down to is I think they finally got the F8 to look like what they should have for an evolution of the 458. So obviously we have the changes with the turbocharged engine. We'll talk about that in a second, but this is a stunning car. So one of the things I don't like about Spiders is, unfortunately, we can't see the work of art, which is the Ferrari engine that's chilling under there. Well, It's tucked way down there, so you really can't see it very well, which is kind of disappointing because it is a cool looking engine. I have seen it in the regular F8 Tributo, you know, once it's underneath that plexiglass. Well, in this case, we have the Spider, so we don't have the cool glass lid. It would be nice to see that. This engine produces 710 horsepower and 500, and I think it's 560 or 570 foot-pounds of torque. So it is a massive increase in power over the 458, pretty close to the same as the 488, and this is basically the Pista engine. There are some very, very subtle differences, but effectively what you have is a Pista engine in the normal car, in the F8. So that is pretty amazing. They've had very few problems with these engines. They really put out a lot of power and they are very responsive. And I'll show you when we drive it, the turbo lag is not even really there. Interesting enough, it's also a smaller displacement engine. This is only 3.9 liters. Of course, since we have a Spider, I will show you how the Spider top operates. It's basically the same design as the 458 and the 488. I guess it's a little bit faster, and of course now you can actually open it and close it while the car is moving up to 28 miles an hour. As you can see, once the top is down, I think the car looks even better. I prefer the coupes, but I mean, I will say the lines that they do on these convertible hardtops are pretty amazing. So while we got it running, let me show you the new infotainment setup and all the controls, and it's actually a decent improvement. Of course, this particular example, we have the carbon fiber Daytona style seats, and they are actually very comfortable. So, you know, you can see how thin it is. This is extremely thin, super light. And we drove it a pretty good amount last night. We drove it a couple hours. We had no fatigue whatsoever. It is a very comfortable seat. I actually enjoyed it a lot. Also of note, we finally have a real key fob. So no more sticking your key in the hole and turning the key. You just bring this with you and push the start button and you're ready to rock and roll. So you can see we still have the analog tachometer, which I still really appreciate. I'm glad that Ferrari kept that. We have a digital speedometer. We have actual Bluetooth that works in this car, which is really nice.
Who has goddamn porno mags anymore? Welcome to the 21st century, Buck Rogers.
You can see if we go into the settings, on the right hand side you have speedometer, we have a radio, media, navigation, phone, and then of course settings. It's a little bit easier to deal with. The digital components of the infotainment are a little bit easier to work with. Still a little bit frustrating. I don't really understand what they're doing with that and why they have that different. Also of note is that the controls for the infotainment on the steering wheel, they changed around. So they used to be little paddles with a button in the center, and now it's like a little scrolling wheel on each side. So it's nice for the volume because you just flick the wheel. For the song, it's a little bit tricky because you kind of flip this around. But you can see I can actually control this now with the scroll wheel, which is actually pretty cool. So I can actually go in and click the navigation or whatever. On the left side, we of course have a different setup. We have digital gauges about the status of the car, the engine temperature and the oil pressure, oil coolant or oil temperature, battery voltage, tire pressures if we were actually moving. And so if we go back to the main screen on this one, trip information, just like the old ones did, VDA, which is of course your vehicle dynamics, which is pretty awesome. I actually really love this feature that Ferrari does. When you are trying to race and you put the car in race mode and you turn on VDA, it's really handy because it basically tells you the status of all the different components of the car and whether they're at proper temperature and all that stuff. And you can see we can actually do lap timing, top speed. It's really a cool feature for when you're actually on the track. A new thing, we have the turbo information, so we can see the turbo pressure, the boost pressure, responsiveness, and the efficiency. I don't know exactly what that is, but that's pretty cool. And then finally, of course, we have settings, just like all the other Ferraris. We actually have lane departure warning and traffic signal recognition. So we do have some new things, and you can see on the side view mirrors, we actually have little triangles to give you alerts. One of the big improvements, in my opinion, was the steering wheel. So I actually really appreciate the way that they do the turn signals. I love having the turn signals on the steering wheel in the 458 and the 488, but these ones are done really well where you click it a little bit to get it to do 3 blinks, and you push it kind of 2 clicks, and now it's just blinking until I turn it off or until I actually turn. The windshield wipers are also a little bit easier. We have a spinning thing and it tells you the auto and then the different speed settings. You have your washer fluid, you pull it down here. Of course, we still have the Manettino, which has the new style Manettino. We even have phone controls, so we have voice control on phone. Still have the suspension button, and we have our brights. And of course, then we have our paddles, the flappy paddles in the back. Now, I do have to say, I do prefer bigger paddles than these, but that's the default Ferrari size. But one thing I do like is the steering wheel has the Rev Lights, and the Rev Lights are now red and then blue. And let me tell you, this thing revs so fast, you really appreciate having those blue lights come on and let you know when to shift. Another thing to appreciate is we do have controls for the camera, parking sensors, and the axle lift here on the dashboard instead of down in the console, because every time I try and find it in my 458, I'm sitting there fumbling around and you always miss it. The AC controls look a lot cleaner and easier to deal with. Very nice, and of course you have a little digital display telling you the actual temperature and the fan speed. You can get an optional display over here, which allows the passenger to manage all of the infotainment stuff, but this car does not have that option. And another thing I like and appreciate is they finally have like an actual handle for the glove box instead of like a button that you're fishing around for in here. And speaking of the center console, we do have the bridge style where you've got your buttons for reverse, automatic, and of course launch control. And we have our windows, and then the controls for the top. You have this rear window which you can roll up and down. So you can see I can actually roll this up and down. So that's kind of nice. When you're driving, you can do that with the roof up and give yourself a lot more of that experience and sound from this car. There's a few other subtle differences, like the buttons for the gas door and for the trunk release are here on the door panel instead of down there in your footwell. You have your headlight controls right here, and the controls for the side view mirrors are actually on the door as well. Another notable thing is you can see the vents have this more modern Ferrari styling with the circular style, but we still have one square vent, which is kind of fascinating that there's like one kind of throwback vent. There's even like ventilation right here. I'm not sure if that is functional or if it's just for looks. And we do have a few controls up here as well. We have the auto start stop, your lock button, towing button, and then some lights. All right, YouTube, let's take it out for a spin and we'll show you how awesome the new F8 Spider is. All right, we are in the F8. So what's funny is they finally got a reasonable beeping sound to let you know you're in reverse, but the parking sensors are pretty aggressive. So right away, there's a few differences that are apparent. They do have the auto start stop, so we're gonna disable that right now because that's annoying. So the button for that is right up there. So you're probably thinking, oh, you're in a Ferrari convertible in California, you should roll in with the top down. Well, it's really cold today, so we're gonna keep the top up. But what we can do is we can roll down the rear window, so that's kind of cool. So at least we get a little better sound. You know, you can actually hear the engine a little bit. You can hear the turbos a little bit. We were actually driving this around quite a bit last night. I hooked up my Bluetooth and was able to do that no problem, and immediately started being able to play songs. I feel like Ferrari finally sort of is getting that down. Like, it's a lot better than the older cars. It does a good job, a pleasant surprise. Right now we're in sport mode. The different modes on the Manettino make a huge difference. So when you play around and you go into race, it is a dramatic difference in the way it behaves. So we'll turn on to race because, you know, it's a race car basically. They just really did a much better job at some of the simple things. So the interior, I mean, it basically looks the same layout as a 458 or a 488, just small little differences here and there. So immediately you're thinking, oh, well, you know, it's turbo, it's got turbo lag. Yeah, there's gonna be some turbo lag, but let me tell you, once that turbo kicks in, here we go, second gear. Whew! That was about half throttle. I didn't want to go too hard. Let's get the tires warmed up a little bit. This thing is stupid fast. We were out there playing last night and we had the 458 out and the 488 out and we had a drag race and it wasn't even fair. This thing just absolutely destroyed the 458, and you know, that is a fast car. So to be able to destroy a super fast car like that it's kind of mind-numbing. Obviously the handling is just amazing. I mean, look at this, going around these corners. Ooh, no body roll. It even rides really well when you hit bumps. Even in sport and race mode, or in race mode, it's still, so precise. They basically took the 458 platform, evolved it in the 488, gave it better suspension, better braking, and now they did it again here. I know it doesn't have that amazing naturally aspirated sound, but gear shifts are just flawless. Just, oh, listen to that. I mean, it's good. This is a good sound. God, this thing is tremendous. Just unbelievable amount of power at your disposal. Unreal. I mean, you can get yourself into really bad trouble. Wow. The shifts are just instant, absolutely instantaneous. Sorry, I'm out of focus. Like, we're really putting this thing down, and holy crap. Oh, it's so precise, so nimble. I mean, it still has that perfect balance. Holy shit, broke the tires loose there. Going a little bit over the speed limit. Woo! Oh my lord. So let's do launch control. I know we're kind of cheating a little bit because we're going downhill, but here we go. Push the power start, and ready? Well, I screwed up and hit the red line and spun the tires really hard. Holy shit. So let me tell you, I've done launch control in the 458, the 488, and the F8, and every generation they improved it a lot. The 458 launch control it's bad. It's not great. It just, the engine just falls flat on its face as soon as you kind of launch. And then it spins the tires, and you know, it gets all squirrely, which is fun. It's very fun. But 488 launch control is a lot better. The engine didn't fall on its face. Launches a little bit. And then it shoots like a rocket. This thing, they got it, man. They crushed it. That launch control is outrageous. Oh my lord. I can't say how fast I was going, but wow. And that actually brings up an interesting point. It revs so fast that you have to have these shift lights. Let me tell you, having the shift lights, which is nice, they changed it so that the last two lights are blue. You need that badly. Those blue lights really help you because, man, you are shifting fast. I know. Look at it. You don't have the NA sound, but man, listen to that. That still sounds fantastic. You're still having a great time. You're still hauling ass. Precision steering. Everything else is just perfect. All we need to do is change out the exhaust, and we have the perfect car. Okay, we caught up to some traffic. Let me catch my breath. You know what? This car is insane. It is just tremendous. Absolutely amazing. I have to have one. It's a home run. The looks of it are amazing. It's beautiful. This to me is what the 488 should have been. They should have done this. They should change the body style to look like this. The performance between this and the 488, obviously not that much of a difference. I mean, you got 710 horsepower. It's basically the Pista engine in a 488 with a like a body kit. That's basically what this is. This is just fantastic. I can't tell you how much I love this car already. Super comfortable. I'm even, you know, we're in the carbon seats and it's absolutely comfortable. Wow, wow, wow. I'm in love. I absolutely love this car. It just has so much more torque. As much as I love the naturally aspirated engines in the Ferraris, they don't have that crazy torque that you get out of the turbo. I know that's the ultimate dilemma. Does it have the same Ferrari soul? I mean, I feel like it kind of does. You know, like Ferrari they need to compete with all the other supercars. They need to have that same performance level as the other supercars. And I feel like in order to achieve that, you pretty much have to have a turbo car now. Oh, I gotta just calm down. Just enjoyed that so much. Just tremendous, tremendously fun. Yeah, we need an exhaust on this thing. At a minimum, we need a valve controller to open up those valves. Well, as you can see, I am very, very impressed with the performance of the new F8. It is absolutely amazing. I really like this car. I really like this car even more than the 488. Not just because I think it looks better, but I think this is what the 488 should have been. I wish they would have gone straight from the 458 to this. It just has a different enough styling. It looks really good. In fact, I'm a little jealous of the rear end of the car. I wish my 458 had that rear end. I think it looks tremendous. I think any of you who are buying one of these cars, you're not gonna be disappointed at all. I would say that it is a handful. It is very powerful, very fast. So you gotta be careful. Leave the computer nannies on. I think it would be very scary to drive this without the computer nannies, especially on the street, especially for those of you who haven't tracked these sorts of high power cars before. You're gonna get yourself in a lot of trouble. With that, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. So please, again, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and of course, visit normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy parts and service for your car. And if there's something you want that's not on our website, email us, sales@normalguysupercar.com, and we'll get you hooked up. But that's gonna do it for now. You guys are amazing, and we're gonna be doing more cool car stuff. So you're gonna wanna stay tuned. It's gonna be sweet.